Hello, my dear health seeker. Inga from Health Origins here. So today is a slightly different episode. I've been mushroom picking today, right? That's my harvest. So it's not, a great deal of mushrooms, and they're not all like the king mushrooms, the Boletus family, right? They're mostly these kind of different color cap ones with the white gills. I actually need to check what the name for these are. But it just basically depends on what kind of forest you go to. And because different mushrooms like different ground conditions. So these mushrooms, the different color caps, so there's like yellow ones, there's red ones, there's some kind of gray, browny ones. And they are fine, and they like growing where the needle trees are. So, under like the Christmas trees or pine trees, because it's quite acidic. The ground under there is acidic because the needle trees, they create quite acidic environment, but these mushrooms don't mind it. Whereas better mushrooms like Boletus kind of type, they like more leafy kind of floor, forest floor, so where the leaves fall under them. And these two, they're kind of from that better family. Again, I don't know what the name for them is, but they've got like a little sponge-like texture to the underside, and the other ones have like kind of white gills underneath. But anyway, I can't give you exact lesson on which mushrooms are edible and which are not. So I would recommend either getting a book on mushrooms. You can get them like pocket size ones that you can take with you and have a look at the book and see if if all the different qualities, if they match of what this mushroom could be, so you can identify it. Or even better still, if you can find somebody who is an expert on wild mushroom picking. In fact, I probably need to really find one of these people here in UK, so that they show me the best places to pick mushrooms, and also some extra different kinds of mushrooms that are edible that perhaps I don't know about and that I'm not picking. Because today, when we were in the forest, we found quite a few different kinds of mushrooms, but we didn't pick quite a lot of them, is because I didn't know them and I wasn't sure. And with mushrooms, it's best to stay safe and not pick something that that you're not confident about, you don't know. Because in Lithuania, where I'm from, we used to go mushroom picking from an early age when we were kids with our parents, grandparents. So these kind of mushrooms we know, we grew with, so we can identify it. So this kind of normally grows under birch trees, and it's got kind of this specific stem, specific kind of sponge. So you get to know certain mushrooms. Also, another good sign is to smell a mushroom. If it smells mushroomy, kind of good, normal, usual smell, then that's good, because some mushrooms smell quite off, different. And that's one sign that they might not be edible. But yeah, so consult either the person that really knows what they're doing, or really look really well and examine the mushroom picking books that you can get. But with the mushroom picking books, you have to be very careful and see which other mushrooms look like the edible ones, because there are a few that are kind of poisonous mushrooms that look very like the edible ones. So you've got to be careful there. But so we'll just talk about how to prepare the mushrooms, the best way to clean them and to prepare them. So basically, with mushrooms, especially with the ones that's got spongy underside to them, you want to check whether the stem and whether this spongy layer, whether it's free of worms or not. So most mushrooms, when you cut this, because when you pick mushrooms, it's best to take a knife with you so that you're not tearing the mushroom from the ground. You're leaving some of the mushroom in for the mushroom to grow back. So just always take a knife and do a clean cut next to the ground so that you leave some of the mushroom inside the ground. And when you're cutting it, you will see whether this stem is free of wormholes or not. So if you see, because a lot of especially big mushrooms, they have worms inside the stalks, and that's the first warning sign that it's probably overgrown and it's kind of eaten by worms before you got to it. So most likely, chances are that the younger mushrooms you find will not have that problem. So yeah, so you cut the stem to see whether it's worm free, and if it is, then most likely the rest of it is fine. There are some occasions where perhaps the stalk looks good, but then when you cut into it, there might be some worms inside other places. So for the ones that got like a spongy underside, if you cut them, so I'll take the stalk off, and if you cut them in half, you just check the spongy layer underneath there, whether it's all nice and uniform or whether it's got some worms and wormholes in there. You'll probably spot, and you're probably gonna cut through some worms if they are in there. This one looks actually quite clean. But anyway, so once you determine that the mushroom is free from worms, then we need to learn how to properly clean them. Okay, so the first easiest bit is to get the like physical debris off. So if you got like some needles stuck to the cap or some leaves, just you can brush it easily with the knife. Or another way is to use like a wet towel, either a normal just a cloth towel or even like paper towel like I've got here, and kind of just wipe it with the wet towel to get some dirt, like if it's got some sand or earth on it. That's quite a good way of doing it. So yeah, so I can see some bits of dirt on this mushroom. I mean, if you see something like ingrained deeper in there, then you could just nicely, easily cut it out with the knife. Or if there's something stuck in the gills, you can also use the knife to just get it out there. And just think of what will be the smallest kind of mushroom you're going to have, and you want to probably tailor it to that mushroom and cut others into that kind of size, so because you want them to cook evenly. So for this mushroom, and you don't have to be like so like precise and make sure you get every grain of dirt off, because what we're going to do, I'm just going to give it a little bit of wipe, and then I'll cut it in half and put it in and then when you're cutting it, also check that the stem is all good through and you don't have worms in it. Then if it's fine, just put it in a bowl of water. And then, so basically just continue on with your mushrooms until you have them pretty much clean. And like I say, if there's a little bit of dirt left on still, don't worry too much about it, because what we're going to do, the first thing, I'm not going to do it here, but I'll just tell you how, what the next step is. So basically, you clean as much as debris as you can. If they're dirty like this, have some sand on them, just give it a wipe with a wet cloth. And it's probably best to use like a cloth towel, because you can wash it again and keep on brushing it off. If there's any kind of dark bits or any dingy looking bits, you can just cut it off. And then once you're happy, just place them. The bigger mushrooms, if they're the spongy ones, you definitely want to cut the stalk off and then cut it in half or quarters, right? Just to make sure that all the way through this spongy layer here, that there's no worms, because you don't want some worms in your mushrooms, right? So yeah, so I'm going to cut it in 4, and it's clean. There's nothing in them bits, right? So I'm just going to put them. So once you're happy that you've got all your mushrooms cleaned up, nice. I mean, you could probably even cut that in a smaller bit to kind of match the other mushrooms, because this is quite a large mushroom. So basically try and get them pretty uniform size. They will like become smaller as they boil as well, don't forget. And then small ones like this, just chuck them in whole. Wipe and chuck them in whole. So once you prepared all your mushrooms this way, then the best thing to do is to put them in boiling water, or even cold water. In fact, cold water is probably better, and get them to the boiling point, and all the dirt, all the kind of debris and the stuff will come out as a foam or sink to the bottom as sand. So it's best to take out the mushrooms, like drain them. So when the foam starts coming up on the top, get rid of the foam, and then drain the mushrooms from the first boil water, because that will have the most kind of dirt and things there that you don't want. And then pour fresh water on the mushrooms again, and then you need to boil them for at least 15 or 20 minutes. Just to be on the safe side, I would say boil it for 20 minutes, because most mushrooms then will be ready. And then after that, you can drain them and either use them in recipes like they are, or you could, if you like frying them in the frying pan with, I know some do it with some oil or butter. Obviously, that's not vegan, but you could use it that way if you are using them that way, or just use them after they've been boiled and drained, as you would, kind of normal mushrooms, whether cold or you want to eat them hot, adds to a stew or some sauce or whatever. So the most important part is to, first boil, drain the water out. And then the second boil, make sure you boil it for at least 20 minutes on like a simmer. Just let them simmer, and then drain those, and that's ready to go. For really high quality mushrooms like porcini or boletus, as it's known, the king mushroom, right? For these kind of mushrooms, you could cook the cap. Actually, you could either fry it on the pan, but normally you need some kind of oil again with it, or you could just bake it in the oven as well. You could prepare it that way. So because they are like a high quality mushroom and they don't really need boiling off necessarily. The caps, specifically the stalks, you probably still need to boil, but the caps, they are quite, nice and edible. You can, bake them or fry them straight away like this. So yeah, so that's my tips for wild mushroom picking. I hope that inspired a few of you to go out and have a look for some mushrooms, to buy some mushroom guides, because there's some mushroom guides online as well that you can use, like an app as well. Have a look. And it is quite exciting, new and different, just explore what other edible goodies we can get from the forest, because before we went to get the blackberries, as you've seen, and made blackberry crumble. Here I'll be making some mushrooms that we'll be using to eat with potatoes. I love these kind of mushrooms. So you boil them and then you mix them with soy sour cream, for example, and then have them with hot boiled potatoes. It's so delicious, guys. So mushrooms can either be hot or cold, but if you're mixing with sour cream, they're probably gonna be cold. and then just have it with these hot potatoes. It's so delicious. And in fact, mushrooms go really nice with onions. So if you fry some onions, add the mushrooms in, add some sour cream or some kind of creamy white sauce, whether it's cashew based or soy kind of yogurt based, or even coconut milk would work, something creamy. And then have that with boiled potatoes. It's delicious. So yeah, I hope that gets you experimenting. And now I'm really actually thinking of getting a UK-based mushroom expert to go into the forest for them to show me, which forest have more mushrooms, because we didn't find that many in the one that we went particularly today. I was a bit disappointed. But so you need to know the places where mushrooms grow more. And yeah, to find more of the places, because September is the mushroom season, so we're really just into the mushroom season now. So give it a go, guys. Let me know what you thought. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you new to this channel, welcome to my weight loss cook along show. We do this every Sunday at 7 o'clock GMT time. And then I also have Wednesday video uploads. And our motto on this channel, food is fuel. So be mindful of what you put in the body. So until next time, guys. See ya.